Hi friends, today I came with a new topic, power sharing. Let us know what is meant by power sharing. An intelligent sharing of power among legislature, executive and judiciary is very important to the design of a democracy. In this video, we are going to carry this idea of power sharing forward. We start with two stories from Belgium and Sri Lanka. Both these stories are about how democracies handle demands of power sharing. The stories yield some general conclusions about the need of power sharing in democracy. Let's start. Now let's start with Belgium. Belgium is a small country in Europe, smaller in area than the state of Haryana, which is the state of India, that is our country. It has borders with three countries, that is Netherlands, France, and Germany. It has a population of a little over 1 crore, about half of the population of Haryana. The ethnic composition of this small country is very complex. Here, ethnic is meant by a social division based on shared culture. People belonging to the same ethnic group believe in their common descent because of similarities of physical type or of culture or both. They need not always have the same religion or nationality. That is meant by ethnic. Of the country's total population, 59% lives in Flemish region and speaking Dutch language. Flemish region here colored with yellow, as you can see in the picture. Next, remaining 1% of the Belgians speak German. That is here the last end part. I am zooming it. Here most of them speak English. German speaking people are present in this area. Next, 80% people speak French while 20% are Dutch speaking. French speaking are colored with red and Dutch speaking are colored with yellow. Next one, the minority French speaking community was relatively rich and powerful. This was resent by the Dutch speaking community, who got the benefit of economic development and education much later. This led to tensions between Dutch speaking and French speaking communities during 1950s and 1960s. The tension between the two communities was more acute in Brussels, as Brussels presented a special problem that the Dutch-speaking people constitute a majority in whole the country, but very less in the capital. That means minority in the capital. Let's let us compare this to the situation in another country, that is Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is an island nation just a few kilometers off the southern coast of Tamil Nadu. It is about 2 crore people, about same as Haryana. Like other nations in the South Asia region, Sri Lanka has a diverse population. The major social groups are Sinhala speakers, which are about 74%, and Tamil speakers 18%. Among Tamil, there are two subgroups. Sinhalas are about 74%, Tamil are about 18%, but Tamil speakers are divided in two. Sri Lankan Tamils are 13% and Indian Tamils are 5%. Why Sri Lankan and why Indian? That means among Tamils there are two subgroups. Tamil natives of country are called Sri Lankan Tamils. They are 13%. The rest are whose forefathers came from India as plantation workers during colonial period are Indian Tamils. As you can see in the map, Sinhalas are more, 74%. Sri Lankan Tamils are 13%. Indian Tamils are less, they are about 5%. And Muslims are 2 less, they are maybe remaining. Sri Lankan Tamils are concentrated in the north and east of the country. Most of the Sinhala speaking people are Buddhist, while most of the Tamils are Hindus or Muslims. There are about 7% Christians who are both Tamil and Sinhala. Just imagine what could happen in the situation like this. In Belgium, the Dutch community like could take advantage of its numeric majority and force its will on the French and German speaking population. This would push the conflict among the communities further. This could lead to very messy partition of country. Both the sides would claim control over Brussels. In Sri Lanka, the Sinhala community enjoyed an even bigger majority and could impose its will on the entire country. Now let us look at what happened in the both countries. Majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka emerged as an independent country in 1948. The leaders of Sinhala community sought to secure the dominance over the government by virtue of their majority. As a result, the democratically elected government adopted a series of majoritarian measures to establish Sinhala supremacy. In 1956, an act was passed to recognize Sinhala as the only official language, thus disgrading the Tamil. The governments followed preferential policies that favored Sinhala applicants for university positions and government jobs. A new constitution stipulated that the state shall protect and foster Buddhism. All these government measures, coming one after the other, gradually increased the feeling of alienation among the Sri Lankan Tamils. They felt that none of the major political parties led by the Buddhist Sinhala leaders were sensitive to their language and culture mm, They felt that the constitution and government policies denied them equal political rights, discriminated against them in getting jobs and other opportunities, and ignored their interest. As a result, their relations Do you know what is meant by majoritarianism? Do you know what is meant by majoritarianism? A belief of that the majority community should be able to rule a country in whichever way it wants by disregarding the wishes and needs of the minority. That is meant by it. The relations between the Sinhala and Tamil communities strained over times. The Sri Lankan Tamils launched parties and struggles for recognition of Tamil as an official language, for regional autonomy and equality of opportunity in securing education and jobs. But their demand for more autonomy to provinces polluted by the Tamils were repeatedly denied. By 1980, several political organizations were formed demanding an independent Tamil Eelam, that means a state, in northern and eastern parts of Sri Lanka. The dispute between two communities turned widespread conflict, it soon turned into a civil war. As a result, thousands of people of the both communities have been killed. Many families forced to leave the country as refugees, and many more lost their livelihoods. Sri Lanka's excellent record of economic development, education, and health. But the civil war was caused a terrible setback to social and cultural and economic life of the country. Now let's go to Belgium. Accommodation in Belgium. The Belgian leaders took a different path. They recognized the existence of regional differences and cultural diversities. Between 1970 and 1993, the abandoned their constitution 4 times so as to work out an arrangement that would enable everyone to live together within the same country. The arrangement they worked out is different from the other country and is very innovative. That means very different. Here are some of the elements of Belgian model. Constitution prescribes that the number of Dutch and French speaking ministers shall be equal in the central government. Some special laws required to support the majority of members from each linguistic group. Thus, no single community can move the decisions unilaterally. Many powers of the central government have been given to state governments of 2 regions of the country. The state governments are not subordinate to the central government. Brussels has a separate government in which both the communities have equal representation. The French speaking people accepted the equal representation in Brussels because the Dutch speaking community has accepted equal representation in central government. Apart from the central and the state government, there is a third kind of government. This is community government, is elected by the people belonging to one language community. Dutch, French, and German speaking, no matter where they live, this government has the power regarding cultural, educational, and language related issues. You might find the Belgium model very complicated. It indeed is very complicated even for the people living in Belgium. But these arrangements have worked very well so far. They helped to avoid civic strife between the two major communities and a possible division of the country on linguistic lines. When many countries of the Europe came together to form a European Union, Brussels was chosen as its headquarters. European Union Parliament in Belgium. The place you're seeing is European Union Parliament in Belgium. Most important thing that you have to remember is the European Union. This union's headquarters is in Brussels, which is capital of Belgium. As you're seeing now, it is the European Union Parliament, which is situated in Belgium, and it is a very innovative way of dealing with the people in the Belgium, and it is very peaceful manner, and there is no any type of civil war, and all the people of the Belgium treated well. So, do you know what is meant by civil war? Civil war, a violent conflict between opposing groups within a country that becomes so intense that it appears like a war. Um, Now we compared the both Belgium and Sri Lanka. Now let us know what do we learn from this story. What do we learn from these stories of Belgium and Sri Lanka? Both are democracies, yet they dealt with the question of power sharing differently. In Belgium, the leaders have realized that the unity of country is possible only by respecting the feelings and the interests of different communities and the regions. Such a realization Such a realization resulted in mutual acceptable arrangements for sharing power. But in Sri Lanka, shows as a contrasting example. It shows us that if the majority community wants to force its dominance over the others and refuses to share power, it can undermine the unity of country. This is a picture of fine German engineer. Why power sharing is desirable? There's two different sets of reasons can be given in favor of power sharing. Firstly, power sharing is good because it it helps to reduce the possibility of conflict between social groups. Since social conflict often leads to violence and political instability, power sharing is a good way to ensure the stability of political order. Imposing the will of the majority community over others may look like an attractive option in the short run, but in the long run, it undermines the unity of the nation. This may cause civil war between the people of the country. Tyranny of majority is not just oppressive of a minority. Um, it is often brings ruin to the majority as well. There is a second deeper reason why power sharing is good for democracies. Power sharing is very spirit of democracy. A democratic rule involves sharing power with those affected by its exercise and who have to live with the effects. People have a right to consult and how they are to be governed. A, a legitimate government is one where the citizens through participation acquired a stake in the system. Let us call the first set of reasons prudential. Prudential, what is meant by prudential? Based on prudence or on careful calculation of gains and losses. Prudential decisions are usually contrasted with those decisions based purely on moral considerations. Um, a democratic and second moral. While prudential reasons stress the power, sharing will be bring out better outcomes. Moral reasons emphasizes the very act of power sharing as valuable. I think you understood what is power sharing and in how in different countries like as we discussed in Sri Lanka and Belgium, how they used the power sharing and how the power sharing is beneficial. And let us meet in next video. Bye bye. Please subscribe if you like it.